Hey everybody, it's Michael. It's September and it is time for the monthly market snapshot. I love September because it's my birthday month and I will be 40 this year.
You're joking. You're joking.
What I don't love about the news is that if you don't know this, if no one's told you, you might already think it, but we have been in a real estate recession for the last 3 years. I've talked about this before, but the 2023, 2024, and 2025 have been incredibly difficult years. Some of the lowest real estate transactions we have seen in history. What does that mean for you? We're going to dive into it today. So I'm going to go over interest rates, a little bit about market activity of what's happening right now. And then if you stay to the end, you will see some very interesting historical data that is mirrored in what we are seeing right now. It's kind of eerie. So make sure you stay till the end, like and subscribe if you like what you're watching, because I'd love to see you again next month. So let's talk about interest rates. They have come down. Yeah, just a little bit. So we were at 7% for most of the year, and now I'm seeing lenders who are quoting 5.875 on a 30-year conventional. I'm also seeing like maybe 5.375 on FHA. So what we do know is historically, when interest rates go below 6%, we see buyer activity start to come up. That may not hold true now because of how prices have gone up. We may need to see interest rates get closer to the low fives in order to see that kind of activity. But what we do know is typically below 6%, we get those first-time home buyers jumping back into the market, which have are at an all-time low right now. So if we can get them to come back into the market, this will help stimulate things in the real estate market. What's interesting is I look at mortgage applications, right? So people are applying for mortgages more now than they did at this time last year. Mortgage applications are up, but it hasn't translated into transactions and necessarily buyers in the market. A lot of what I'm hearing and talking about with my clients is that they have people who will go in and look at what their monthly payment is, apply, and then not do anything. That is typical of what we're seeing right now, but also an indicator of backed up demand. So while they may not like the monthly payment now, they do have a mortgage application in, there is interest in the market. And so if interest rates were to drop, all those applicants may come back into the market. So what I see here is that when we do see interest rates drop, there is a backup of a buyer pool that's sitting out there. They're applying for mortgages, they're just not jumping into the market yet. So we have this sort of built up potential momentum should things get easier and more affordable for people. Some are predicting that we will see 5% by the end of the year. Incredible. It would be super incredible to see that. No one knows. No one has a crystal ball, obviously. But if you look at the Mortgage Research Network, they are predicting 5% by the end of the year, which is a really great interest rate. When we talk about the local Boise economy and the local Boise real estate market, we are in a painful place. If you're a seller out there and you have not had a single showing, you are not alone. We have an all-time high of inventory and a real lack of buyer demand. When you look at this graph that I have here, the percentage is 50%. There's twice as many homes for every one buyer. What does that mean? That means that buyers are being a lot more picky. They will give you an offer, and if you counter offer, many times I'm seeing them walk away. So sellers, when you get an offer, take it seriously. See if you can make it work and try not to push too hard because the buyers have so many options. Additionally, what we'll see is if you do go under contract and your in-house goes through an inspection process and it is not up to par or they get scared by it, they'll back out right away. We have never seen more back on markets than we're seeing right now, mostly because people are backing out during the inspection phase. So not only do you need to be priced well and be competitive with the other homes on the market, you need to make sure that your house is clean. Make sure that you've done a pre-inspection on the home. Make sure there's no mold, no fire damage, anything like that that would be really scary to a buyer. Make sure that's taken care of up front. I don't know what the rest of the year holds, but sometimes we do see market activity pick up in September or October before it dies down again for the holidays. So with this new drop in interest rates, maybe we'll see a little bit of a burst in buyer demand, but what we're seeing right now is one of the most painful spots in our market. We are in it right now, in the thick of it. And I promised you something really interesting, and here it is. So this graph that I have here for you, this is amount of real estate transactions in the millions per year. And as you can see in the graph, what we have there is that prior to the 2008 crisis, in 2005, 2006, and 2007, we saw 7 million homes sold. So the 3 years leading up to the 2008 bubble crisis, we saw 7 million transactions, which is actually the highest we've ever seen. And then it dropped to 6 and then to 5, and then the crash happened. And then for 4 years after that, we stayed in the low fours for 4 million transactions per year. That is not a lot. That is historically very, very low. What is super fascinating is if you look at 2021, 2022, right before the interest rates went up, you see the exact same trend. And now 3 years of 4 million transactions, really low numbers. So if history repeats itself, we may have another year or two before things start to bounce back. Now, we don't have the same type of foreclosure problems or people short selling their homes as we did in 2008, so maybe our recovery will be quicker. But it took 5 years to get somewhat recovered from 2008, and where we are now is only 3 years deep. So maybe it'll come soon, but we are in it. We have been in the thick of it for the last 3 years. It'll be really fascinating to see how this data plays out for the next couple of years. I think it's something really fascinating to pay attention to, because how many of us wish that we would have just bought as many homes as we could afford after the crash, when everybody was scared? My favorite adage: be fearful when other people are greedy, and be greedy when other people are fearful. This is Michael Miller with your monthly market update. Again, like and subscribe if what you've seen, and I will see you again next month.